Hello everyone, how are you all doing? My name is Philip, I'm also known as PS or PS Enough. We're going to see another video focused on the demo scene. It's still part of the Pick a Topic, Any Topic tier or my Patreon if you want to support this kind of content creation that I've been doing. Go to patreon.com/psenough and check out the tiers that you have available there. That being said, this is the second part of the history of the 1 KB category, particularly focused on the demoscene productions that have been happening for the PC. On this video, I'm going to make a small exception, also mention some Amiga stuff, so please bear with me, but I'll mention when I come to those. So the idea is, on the previous video, we went from the beginning of the known demo scene focusing on the 1 KB category until the year 2009, where we saw that there were some people that were starting to abuse pixel shaders, mostly Crinkler facilitated a lot of cranking down the bytes on the Windows executables. But there was also a parallel development that was happening, which was on the JavaScript front. On JavaScript, some guys found a way to take advantage of the auto decryption of the PNG archives, so you could have a smaller footprint on your executables in JavaScript, and you can also make audio in JavaScript. So a lot of people started exploring that to do stuff. There was this particular competition called JS1K, short for JavaScript 1 KB, that started happening, and I want to very briefly go over it because it's not completely demo scene related, but it is some or quite a few demo sceners participated in it, and it advanced quite a bit the quality of the JavaScript stuff that we have. So I have this screen here that we can see. This is the page for 2010, the original JavaScript 1 KB competition. We can see the top players here, and you can see Poi there from Reborn. He was already participating very early on the JS1K thing. The winner was Marien Heverbeke, whatever the hell they're supposed to say that. And it's this little thing using little shapes, JavaScript canvas, pretty standard stuff, 1 KB, very cool. The next year, actually still the same year, in the Christmas, so they have two editions on the same year of 2010. There was another competition of a JavaScript 1K, and this time it was won by Roman Cortez, which also has some relation with the demo scene. He participated in a few demos. It's not completely demo scener, he doesn't consider himself a demo scener, but he has released some stuff in the demo scene before in the past. And on the Christmas JS1K, he won with this tree that rotates, very cool for 1K. I don't believe it has sound, but we're starting to get there. The next year in 2011, the theme was Oregon Trail, and the winner was, well, we had quite a few demo scene releases here. We can see Poi as well in number 2. The one that ended up winning was Taras Zyotnikov with this thing, which is actually interactive. You can play with it. It's like physics. Doesn't have much of the theme of Oregon Trail in it, but it's still pretty cool, very impressive for JavaScript. Next year in 2012, the theme was love. I participated in this one actually. I'm nowhere near the top 10. Probably it was like 20 or something like that. Anyways, you see some entries from Poi and Roman Cortez once again, but the winner was Philip Buchanan with Autumn Evening. And it's this very nice scene, very done. I'm not completely sure if this is Canvas or WebGL. I think it's Canvas though. I think it's Canvas. Just triangles. Don't really need WebGL for anything else, I think. Not sure how he does the reflection though, but well. And the cool thing about this is that you can also check like the details of the thing, which includes the whole code. Sometimes people even have the source code. Yeah, like this. You can see the whole code and can learn a lot of how things are done and how you can, learn to do things better yourself. So a very cool resource, JS1K. I recommend for everyone who's into JavaScript and size coding in general. The next year, in 2013, the theme was Spring. And a lot of seniors participated on this one as well. You can see Poi participated as well, got third place. Roman Cortez, second place, so very similar to previous year. Furby, Get Out of the Tunnel ASAP was a little bee going through a tunnel. But the one that got first place was actually Strange Crystals 2 by Philippe Deschassieux. And it's this thing. Looks pretty darn cool. It's amazing how this is 1K. It's like a voxel ray tracing kind of thing. Well, it's fake. Everything is fake in the demo scene. This guy's not a demo scener, I believe, but still looks pretty darn cool. Next year, 2014, Here Be Dragons. We saw a lot of nice entries. The one that won was Dragon Drop by Felix Wojtzel. And you can change some parameters like fractal thingy that you can control. Rotate some more. So 2015, the JS1K hype train is real. You can see a couple demo sceners participated here as well. Polygon is now pretty much common in JS1K rankings, third place with Impossible Road, and Mysterious Monorail by Homecoded of Desire also got second place. So you can see a very strong presence of the demo scene in JS1K every year, but the one who actually won was Defender by Keith Clark, which is pretty much, you know, Defender. Can play Defender. I think you're supposed to hit the ground here, but clearly... no, you're not. You want to catch the guys. Well, you can also kill them, apparently. Well, yeah, so Defender made in 1 kilobyte. I think Boy had made a similar version, working in, like, just the icon itself, but this is pretty cool as well. 2016, let's get Elemental. This one was definitely won by a demo scener. Helmut helped Lara develop this. It supposedly even had sound. You can also see some reference to State of the Art by Syorki in fourth place. So yes, let's take a look at Romanesco. It's this fractal. It also has sound, but it's not working right now because since the year 2016, things changed in browsers. And to have the audio context available, you need to click an authorization. And they never updated the code on this one to have the sound working. So it's not working right now, but the original had sound working as well. Really cool. It's again just a WebGL pixel shader thing, just doing a fractal, but the way that you can control with the mouse is just amazing. So very well done. 2017, It's Like Magic. We saw Poi finally getting first place. And it also got first place. He did multiple entries this year. And the winner entry was like a mini Twitter thing, but for digital creative people. So you can put like small string for audio, small string for the visuals, and use this and share this to show your little sketch in condensed form. Very interesting concept, and a few people ended up pushing it forward and doing some small little sketches using it. 2019, last year, the Volatile Coin Mine was won again by Roman Cortez. Let's take a look at that. Was the Nefertiti bust head with the full volume rendering. You can actually, if you refresh this, you can see the thing actually being rendered slice by slice. The interesting part is how they managed to compress all the data of the 3D model into 1 kilobyte of information only. So very interesting stuff. Then in 2019, we already had a JS1K as well. It was won by Roman Loot with Lost in a Cave. I believe it's WebGL. It's pretty nice looking. Just 3D scene and in 1 kilobyte JavaScript. So let's move onwards to talk about the entries that were released in the demo scene in 1K and how they were historically representative. Moving on from this thing, we have in 2010. In 2010, the entries that are worth mentioning for the 1 kilobyte category is Futurism by Still. Mad of Still started getting into the game of doing 1 kilobyte entries. You also did some 4 kilobytes as well. These ones don't have sound, but still quite interesting looking, fractal kind of thing. Also worth mentioning of 2010 is the first place winner of Soul Skogan, made by Loonies. It's called Stativ Stakit Casket. I don't know why the hell they insist in making these weird to pronounce names. looking pretty good. Also has sound, which is very interesting to always witness on 1 kilobytes. And another entry worth mentioning of 2010 is this one. Got second place at the PC 4K compo in Breakpoint, so competing against 4 kilobyte intros, it got second place, and it's called Mistrace by TBC, my mentor in Purix. So a lot of TBC entries and Loonies entries early on in this decade of 2010. In 2011, it was also mostly dominated by Loonies, but one of the entries that I wanted to mention was 704, one of the earlier on JavaScript 1Ks that was somehow famous and showed what you can do in terms of ray tracing, ray marching, whatever you call this, by Paulo Falcão, a Portuguese guy. And this entry was pretty famous when it was launched. It was also one of the first shaders that were available on Shader Toy that you could play around and see how things looked like. Another entry worth mentioning is the Nyan Cat version of 1 kilobytes made by Artby. This was in the middle of the Nyan Cat hype, so it's always worth annoying the hell out of everyone who likes Nyan Cat. But the main loved entry of 2011 is this one, Sphere by Loonies. It got second place at the Evoke PC 4 kilobyte compo. Very good entry, a lot of people like this, so I highly recommend you guys to check it out. Also has sound, which is always good. So next up we have the year of 2012, and one thing interesting that happened in 2012, or actually two things interesting that happened. The assembly started having a 1 kilobyte category, because they were so overwhelmed with 4 kilobytes that they made a 1 kilobyte entry, and they started having some interesting entries. One of them was this one, Embers by the Digital Artists. It's pretty good, especially because if you consider that it's made on Mac. And there weren't that many Mac entries of small limited size, so Embers really made an impact when it came out, because you pretty much have to redevelop the sound synth and the way that you pack stuff. So to be able to do that on Mac and come out with something that is good and also has music, it's a pretty good achievement. So well done by the Digital Artists, and they won the Assembly 1 kilobyte compo in 2012 with this one. Another one that is worth mentioning is What the Frack by Alter Kras, which is pretty much Gopher of Alcatraz, and doing some stuff, so looking pretty good. Another entry that's also worth mentioning is Paleozoa by F Square Root. It was got first place at Icons 2012. Another demo party that started featuring a 1 kilobyte compo, and not many parties did this at the time. And another thing that is really worth mentioning is also Demo.js, which is a demo party especially focused on JavaScript stuff, or at the time was, and it also had a 1 kilobyte compo, and it was won by Matraka of Ribbon and 8-bit. This one got really a lot of attention when it came out, because it really pushed what you could do in 1 kilobyte in the JavaScript, fully taking advantage of all those compression stuff that you saw that was being developed on the JavaScript 1 kilobyte thing that was mentioning early on in this video. Last thing of 2012 also worth mentioning is the Assembly 2012 second place entry, also by TBC. It was called Traceless. It ended up getting a lot more public recognition than Embers by the Digital Artists, because it looks and sounds so good, but nothing, that's it. Moving on to 2013, we had a lot of interesting entries. Still the main two parties that became very famous for 1 kilobyte entries were Demo.js. Minami District from Ribbon was released there, got first place. And then we also had Assembly, and Assembly this year was won by Traction and Fit with the entry Tendrils, also pretty good one. Not many entries of 1 kilobyte in 2013, it comes in waves as everything. In 2014 we had a few interesting entries as well. One of the ones that I wanted to mention is Sinuous by Loonies and TBC. Unfortunately I don't have a video for this one available, but it got third place on the PC 4K competition at Revision, so very competitive compo, and they managed to get third place with a 1 kilobyte entry, so big respect to that. Other parties that are worth mentioning for the 1 kilobyte entries is usually Demo.js, and this time again in 2014 it's worth mentioning the winner entry Molten Core by Drift, an Australian demo scener. Very nice stuff. Then the assembly compo is always worth mentioning as well. We have Stellar Driftwood by Traction and Fit that got second place, looking pretty good. And then Superstructure by the Digital Artists got first place for the Mac once again. Moving on to the year of 2015, we saw Spacebender by Artby winning at Party. With a combined intro. It's a bit repetitive, but it's okay. Worth mentioning. Also worth mentioning is the Amiga entries that started having sound as well. There was a lot of re-risal or reapprising or whatever the hell you can call it to a boot sector intro thing. Swirl by Loonies and Darklight is one of the most interesting ones. There were some boot sector intros released before, but this one in particular started having sound, and I think I'm probably wrong when I say this, but I think it's the first boot sector intro that has sound in it, but I'm sure an Amiga zealot is gonna show up and post in the comments that there was something else before that I just completely missed, and I apologize for that in advance. This one was pretty darn good. I really enjoy it, and it got a nomination for a Meteoric Award, also for being cool. I got first place at the Finnish Amiga Party 2015. At Assembly, we got another killer intro made in JavaScript. Poi, who took all the experience he had from Demo.js and JS 1K competitions, and won Assembly 2015 with a Black 4777. Very cool entry. Don't know what else to say about it. Go check it out. 2016, we had a very competitive compo at Assembly. Probably one of the most competitive PC 1 kilobyte compos that we ever had. At 5th place, but that got a lot of praise afterwards, was Eraserhead by Prism Beings, everything made by Nobi. This was before Nobi was famous for his killer 4Ks, or he was in the process of becoming more famous for that, and he made this little intro called Eraserhead, and it's really good, very moody, which is really interesting. In 2nd place, we saw Poi returning to Assembly. We got a 2nd place with a JavaScript 1 kilobyte again, this one Astra. And in 1st place, we saw Fulcrum with the entry Escape Through Subspace, something made by 7 with a Windows 1K. It's very nice because it tells a story, and it also takes full advantage of the fractal things that 7 is so known for. So he ended up winning the Assembly 2016 PC 1K compo with that. Also worth mentioning, but not part of the Assembly compo, was Escalated by Onslaught Drift, returning to the entries with the 3rd place entry for Tersak 2016. Last but not least, last entry of the year at Under Construction, we had the Rots by Attention Whore, another entry for the Amiga OCS boot sector. I think they didn't quite make it for boot sector, but it's still 1 kilobyte entry. And the reason why boot sector is related to 1 kilobyte entry is that the boot sectors usually are not very big, so you are limited in size, and I think the boot sector size for the Amiga in specifically is 1 kilobyte. So moving on to the year 2017, we have more stuff worth checking out from Assembly as usual. Poi returned there 3rd year in a row, and this time winning again. He won with Voltra by Ribbon, a more experimental track. A more experimental intro with, well, experimental sound, that's what I wanted to say, but it also has experimental visual, so it's experimental overall, experimental aesthetics, let's call it that. Well done for Poi there. And also worth mentioning is Fluid Fire by Loonies and Unstable Label got 1st place at the boot sector intro compo at Data Storm 2017 for the Amiga AGA. And that's pretty much all the things that I wanted to say. There was an entry also in 2018. 2018 was a bit of a slow year for 1K intros. I think people are focusing more on 4Ks again instead of 1K. It is what it is, it comes in waves. But one of the last intros that I wanted to show you guys is Gelli Manipulatio, which won the Assembly 2018. Combined 1 kilobyte intro compo. It's for Linux, which is another somewhat new platform for size optimization stuff. So yeah, that's all I have to show you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this series of videos. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that jazz. I'm not gonna take more time away from you since this video was long. You guys have a great day. See you next time. Bye bye everyone. Take care.